Yeah, yeah. We
Welcome
had a guy.
to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We had a guy in high school who was just amazing at Gauntlet, and so Gary Babcock, and we would three of us would join him and just sort of listen to whatever he'd tell us to do. And the next thing you know, we're like on level 300 with 40 people standing behind us watching us play. And his girlfriend worked at the arcade, so she'd pour quarters in every once in a while. But it was one of those things where Gary knew that game inside and out. He knew all the gates that would take you farther on. And so it was one of those things where you'd kind of feel like a secondhand, arcade god, because you're taking part in this event which everybody's just like, I can't believe how far these guys have gotten, and the whole time you've got imposter syndrome because you're going, it's only because of Gary. All of us are just doing what he's telling us to do, and we're getting this far. But yeah, it was a lot of fun when we, this is back 85, 86, going into the arcade and just being the kings of the arcade for an hour.
The other one that was money sinking, and there was nobody that was ever good at it, was Dragon's Lair. Like
I could do it. I could do Dragon's Lair with 3 lives in 1 quarter.
A kid I was in Boy Scouts with could play it with his eyes closed. He would regularly turn his back to the arcade game and play it that way. He had it memorized.
That's ridiculous.
I went in Tilt, and the manager arcade motherfucker left the keys out. And so I went to the Dragon's Lair thing and opened it up and clicked on a shit ton of credits. And then I turned the keys in. And then I went back to the Dragon's Lair thing and just I memorized
Well, that was the whole thing, is that one was memory, and 2, you were also betting that you had a controller, a joystick on the cabinet that was adequately adjusted, because if it wasn't, it didn't matter which direction you went, it was going to be wrong every time. So
yeah, and there was no telling what order the stages came through. They were randomized.
Right? Yeah. All right, welcome to I almost got that wrong. Welcome to Deepnight Revelation. We'll be picking up where we left off last week. These guys have found a little facsimile of home all the way out 670 parsecs from charted space, out in the middle, or on the opposite side, the rimward side of the Great Rift. And the region is ruled by 2 major polities, one being the Commonwealth and the other being the Grand Republic. Then there are also a couple of other smaller groups in the region. The most notable of those, and the biggest pains in the rear, is the Empire of Envaeus. And the Empire of Envaeus, they have a kind of raider lifestyle. They're D-bags. We'll just call them what they are. Their entire economy really is based off of raiding a planet, stealing everything that isn't nailed down, and then they'll usually give them a couple of years to kind of build back up, and then raid them again and tell them, that because we raided you last time, there was some kind of agreement made, and that we're going to come back and you owe us more. It's a completely unsustainable government, yet here they are. And thankfully, they're not big enough to really be a problem for either the Commonwealth or the Republic, but they are there nonetheless, and the planets that fall under their rule are hurting for it. But these guys have found a port called Tradeport. It is actually a neutral port, kind of in the middle of all of this, and it is run by the Trade Consortium. And I mean, it had grand ideas when it was first put together, probably more ambition than capability and money to back it. And so Tradeport isn't quite as great as it was originally envisioned. It is, it's partially falling apart in places. It's just not as grand as it should have been. There's some parts that aren't working at all, um, but it is functioning nonetheless. And so um, these guys are using Tradeport, or hope to use Tradeport, because their jump drive has had it. It is on its way out, and they need dry dock. And Tradeport has a ship dock that is apparently unused. Well, it's not a ship dock, a shipyard that is not used. And so they have met. What is this guy's name? He is the chief executive, Marcus Feisler, pretty much the head of the Tradeport Consortium, and he has contacted them and invited them to come over and dock at the private docks, and to meet with him, and they can discuss some kind of trade deal to get things working for Deepnight Revelation to get her drives fixed. That's where we will be picking up. Before we get started, we'd like to bring attention to the fact that we do have a merch store via Zazzle. We've got hoodies and buttons and t-shirts and whiskey rocks glasses and beer steins and poster maps, and there's a fleece blanket, and there's all sorts of stuff. And 100% of the proceeds from that store goes directly back into our channel. It helps cover the minor subscription things like Roll20 Pro or Incarnate Pro, for example. And if you would like to help us make those subscriptions, make those ends meet, go get yourself a t-shirt, and we appreciate everything you do for us. Excuse me, I'm I'm going through a terrible ear infection this week. I feel like I'm 6 years old again, except I don't.
Yikes.
Yeah, I had a great game last week. We had a home game here, ran Castles and Crusades, absolutely fantastic time, had a good time, it felt great. And then Monday morning I woke up and it was like my throat was full of razor blades. And so I downed a whole bunch of ice water. And come to find out, as soon as I drank the ice water, I was like, oh no, it's not the throat that's the problem, it's that left ear. And yep, went to the doctor, and I have a terrible ear infection. Don't know where that came from. And they put me on antibiotics, and I started those Monday. Well, I took a dose Monday night, but I didn't. They gave me one at the clinic, but Tuesday is when I really started them. And I don't know. I don't know that they're actually working because I was back up to 102-degree temperature last night, and so I don't know. I guess I'm just going to wait it out and see. I'm going to give it until Sunday, and if it's not better, I'm going back to urgent care because I need something.
Yeah, it's miserable.
Yeah, it sucks. Like, you know, it's one of the it's a sucky pain because there's just absolutely fuck all you can do about it, right? Like it's there, it's in the middle of your head, and you're not going to be able to touch it. You know, massaging the side of your head doesn't help. It just sucks. But anyways, so I have a lot of sympathy for little kids that have ear infections. So, you guys, you have this conversation with this gentleman, Marcus Feisler, and he invites you over to his private dock. I think there's a name for it. It is. The ambassadorial dock is where he directs you to make your way to. So before you head over there, is there anything that you guys want to? I don't know. Is there any prep you want to do? Is there any who you taking with you? I mean, what ship are you taking? Are you taking one of your scouts, or are you taking a smaller ship? You know, these are things that you will have to decide.
Well, I wasn't kidding at the end of last episode when I directed the gunmen to calculate firing solutions to cripple this place if
Right.
they fuck with us when we're on board.
Yes, which would give them at least at the if there are any opening salvos, that will give them a +1 because they are they've picked their targets ahead of time. And I mean, at 70,000 or 75,000 tons, Revelation's the biggest boat in the region. So, I mean, what are they going to do about it if they do detect that you're training guns on them? You know, like give you a stern warning. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Welcome to gunboat diplomacy, kids.
right.
I think we could we'll just take a ship's boat.
Yeah, you could. You don't need anything.
I mean, or a penis, you know.
Always take your penis.
Or we could take
Yeah.
the locals ship.
You could take.
Yeah.
Since we kind of want her to undock anyway. This might be the perfect opportunity to have her take her ship out of our ship.
That is true. That's a good point. So you
Was
could
she
take
causing
Clayton's chariot.
problems?
No, she's not. She's not caused problems. We're worried that she's going to cause problems from here on out.
So that's
the
right.
big.
So yeah. So Wes and Brian weren't here last week. So she really hasn't caused any problems. They did have a brief encounter at a planet called Nasar, and she once again kind of showed her colors as to her attitude. So Nasar ended up they showed up right after a raid from 2 other vessels, and the city was on fire in multiple places. And her immediate reaction was, well, I guess we're not landing there. And these guys went down and helped out and rescued a bunch of people and built up some goodwill. There is an ambassador that has traveled with you guys to Tradeport, and with the sole purpose of making a formal complaint, because Nasar has a local tech level of like tech level 5, right? They have steam engines and shit like that. But they have traded with offworlders, so they do have some imported goods. Not a lot of them, and obviously they won't have for a while because these raiders took everything that they owned, and so you know. This representative has traveled with you guys and about crapped his pants when he saw when Pappy was bringing them into dock at Revelation, because he didn't think that there was a ship that could be that big, and yet here it is. And so you have this guy, some nameless pencil pusher that has from Nasar's royal court, that has joined or followed you guys to Tradeport to make a formal file a formal complaint with the Trade Consortium about these raiders. And it was implied. Well, no, it wasn't really implied. It was directly stated that the two ships that attacked Nasar were from the Empire of Inveus. The big local douchebags. So yeah,
well,
I mean, if you could take a boat, that's fine.
I mean, if this chick.
So the real worry with her is that she used to work with one of these governments then left.
She was in the Commonwealth Navy.
And then left because she doesn't like rules. So she's this total Han Solo.
No, she said that the officers were incompetent. And it wasn't necessarily that she didn't like rules.
Anyway,
and I think
she wants to set herself up as to represent us, and I'm like, we don't. You've got
Oh
baggage.
yeah, no,
You've
I
got
don't want.
baggage.
Yeah, I don't
And
want her to
we don't need
represent us.
Yeah, we don't need your
I
baggage when it comes to our representation.
I want to put her in a cage and just fucking let her out when we leave system.
No.
Just, I mean, that's my advice. Is you can't bite me in the ass if I got your ass in a cage, and if we need to use her ship, it's right there. She don't mind. Trust me.
There's no reason to imprison her or anything like that. I just think that it's important that if we're talking with anybody of authority, we do so as ourselves, representing ourselves, rather than using her as an intermediary.
Oh, I agree with that, but I'm like, it's the story of the snake, motherfucker saved the snake, and brought it back to life and cared for it. Then one day the snake bit him, and it's like, man, why'd you do that? It was like, well, you knew you were a snake when you fucking got me.
That's
And we know her to be a backstabber. I've done read her fucking mind. She's laying to fucking make a profit off of her. So I don't have
any problem with her making a profit off us. I still want her to try to represent us when it comes to
the exact thing that you got from reading her surface thoughts was, yes, she is looking to come out ahead in any deal. And really the way that works out is that if there is a great deal to be made, the deal that you guys will be presented will be a good deal because she's going to be pulling the cream off the top. For herself, of course. She's a free trader. That's her job.
Well, I don't want her negotiating shit with us. Be honest, maybe we should give her some of that fucking special for knockout juice, and then just put her on her ship, and then she'll wake up, and in a week or two will pass. We'll leave plenty of food laying about, and she'll get her memory back and be like, wow, I'm just out here in nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to take Clayton's chariot. You can take the boat, like you said. You don't have to take her with you. She, of course, will have objections to that. But I mean, not really a whole lot that she could do about it. I mean, you guys are the ones that have clearance to dock at the private dock.
I don't have any problem taking her with us. I think the big thing is to make sure that people realize she's simply the first person we encountered and talked with in this area. She doesn't represent us. She's not our representative. That's the big thing.
I just don't see a benefit to taking her with us.
She understands the local customs, and so she might be a good person for you to read the mind of when they offer us stuff, because she's going to have a different angle on it. You know what I mean? She is a local. She does know how things work. And as long as we know she's angling for a deal to make money, we can make use of that, because there's plenty of ways we can hand her money. I mean, hell, right. I can hand her all the videos I've got, and she can make a fortune just marketing.
I mean, as long as she's close to us, I feel like keeping her close is better than just like locking her up. If like she's off wandering off doing her own thing, well, I mean, I feel like that might not be beneficial to us. But
I think if we make her feel like we're putting her in a corner, she could all of a sudden turn on us. I'd rather have her think we're happy to work with her, and then just see.
My fear / prediction is we power down Deepnight and we start this hardcore thing, and then she shows up with a bunch of motherfuckers wanting to take our fucking ship because she's an opportunist, greedy bitch. And so we got our pants down. And
the spinal mount doesn't have to. The spinal mount does not have to come offline during an engine refit.
So okay, here now, you can make a engineering J drive plus intellect or education check, and you get to make that with a boon.
Oh God.
It's a what education? Sorry.
Yeah, whoever wants to make a engineering J drive plus engineering or
Oh
education. There
yeah.
you go. Okay,
Well,
That's not me.
so the estimate. This is assuming that you have a um, we won't know more until find it here until you have specifics from whatever deal you're going to make with Marcus Feisler. But the estimate is so there is if you are to just throw all of the your engineering resources with no emphasis on security. This means that there will be a period of a 90% of the period of time of 2D plus 7 days is going to be required where Deepnight Revelation is going to be completely powered down, cannot even maneuver. So the spinal mount gun, because it points in a straight line from in front of the ship, that's going to be problematic for it. Labs and science divisions won't have to be completely shut down, but the rest of the ship, it's going to be fairly inert. The other option, of course, is to place a massive emphasis on security, and that would change it to 2D plus 21 days for a repair. And then the final approach is kind of a mix of the two, which means that it'll be inoperable for about 20% of the time. 2D plus 14 days. 50% of the time it'll be down inoperable for 2D plus 14 days. If you do emphasis on security, 2D plus 21 days, 20% of that time it will be down. And for no security, 2D plus 7 days with 90% out of commission. So you have some other opportunities here. I mean, you could negotiate for a little bit more, but you'll need to talk to Marcus Feisler before you have some hard numbers here.
Well, then let's just jump on a boat and go talk to the guy.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to throw a tantrum if we bring that stupid cunt bitch, but
Okay.
you know, I think it's pretty obvious what I think of her. So
do you guys want to take her ship or do you want to take a boat?
I'd like to take a boat, but I'd like her ship off of our ship.
Okay, so that can be arranged too. She's got crew, and they will dock at the standard docks, and she can go with you aboard the boat. Pappy, go ahead and make a piloting plus piloting small craft plus dex check.
Oh, now you want Pappy to fly again.
Yep.
Always want Pappy to fly.
Oh yeah.
Fly. I fly. And Violet.
They're ginormous area. So, you guys head on over in your boat, this small craft, and all of you. Somebody can make an electronic sensors plus intellect or education check.
Keep closing my character sheet. There you go. Oh, I don't have a boot anymore. Let me get rid of that. But
wow, Mel rolled it.
Yeah, I rolled much lower than this 12.
So Mel, you are picking up a number of craft. I mean, obviously, and this is more for you guys saw this last night, but this is more for Pappy and Bocephus. This is what Tradeport looks like. So there is a lot of traffic, ships going to and from here. The bulk of the ships are not larger than about 800 tons. I mean, you just see a plethora of them. Off in the distance, you do pick up some larger ships in the range of 20 to 30,000 tons, but nothing as big as Revelation. And so you're seeing a lot of these craft moving to and fro around Tradeport. And of these, you immediately notice that there is an honor guard of fighters that come up, and you immediately notice some particulars on your sensors. For one, these are not using gravity drives. They're not using the maneuver drives that you're used to. These are strictly reaction drive interceptors, and they kind of this honor guard kind of comes out, and they don't do any fancy maneuvers. They just come alongside and kind of follow you guys or guide you guys into this ambassadorial port. And these are the stats that come up on these fighters. So it is a purely chemical drive engine.
So it has real limit on fuel, probably.
Yep. Yeah, it does. And
Thrust 12 is smoking though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fast ship.
But you don't want to do that for very long, or you're going to be stuck out there. So, but yeah. I mean, you figure 20%, or I'm sorry, 10% for fuel. So, you know, most of this little ship is fuel. And I'm assuming that the light gray areas is fuel. I'm assuming. So yeah, I mean, it's got some pretty limited range because of that. Although it does have
It'd be real
high
pretty
efficiency.
when it blows up.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It'll be real pretty when it blows up.
Right. Yeah, it'll make a nice little fireball for the limited amount of time. The other thing that you notice, like I said, everything in here is about most of the bulk of these ships are either, for instance, you see a couple more of these, the Distant Ranger class, which is the same as Captain Clayton's ship, the Chariot. They're around 400 tons. You see quite a few of these moving around. And then the last ship is about 800 tons. It's the nominal, seems to be the bulk of the trade ships that are moving in and out of here. But everybody can make a recon plus intellect check. Pappy got it. And Bocephus.
All right, Pappy.
So, Pappy and Bocephus, you note that another thing from Mel's sensor scan that's coming in is that there is a dissipation of radiation over about the past 6 hours. Of that is, you've seen this a million times. It is distinctive of a emerging jump. And you guys see two ships, and these are very similar to the 800-ton transports, but just a little bit of modification to them. And you see them coming in pretty hot and heavy, coming in from that 100 diameter jump limit, and they've been moving in to go into the pattern, and they look like this.
Do these look at all like the ships that left the previous system, or did we get enough of a look at those?
They do. All of these 800-tonners resemble the ships that were leaving the system.
Okay.
The NASER system. And you see these two come in. They don't actually go into the standard docking pattern. Instead, they go around to a what appears to be a makeshift private dock. And when I say makeshift, this thing looks like it was originally designed to be temporary and nobody ever did anything about it. And that was probably about 20 years ago. And so you're talking about, like, you know, scaffolding that is just hanging off. Somebody drilled a hole and installed what can be a temporary airlock. It doesn't look like one that you guys would want to use, and yet it has been used regularly. You see these ships dock on this private dock. You guys make your way in to this private ambassadorial dock, and as you're passing by Tradeport, it is obvious.
We've got diplomats from that previous planet with us, if I recall.
You've got, yes, they sent a diplomat with you, an envoy, who is coming with you to file a formal complaint with the Trade Consortium, being a neutral body. He's filing a formal complaint about the Empire of Envaeus attacking their capital city of Rael.
And did he have any way to specifically identify the two ships that attacked, or no?
Mm.
I know we showed up and they were gating out, but they'd already strafed the planet, you know, so they clearly had made closer
they were
contact.
already at the pretty much at the 100 diameter limit when you guys showed up.
Right.
Yeah, you guys came in at the an hour short, or an hour late and $1 short, but so he knows what he told you. So the Prince of Rael told you that that the bombardment of their planet, or of their city, really ultimately he feels was his men's fault, because those raider ships demanded tribute. They finally gave in and were going to pay them off with their ransom. And when they came down to get some of it, a couple of his hotshot palace guards killed one of the raiders, and they quickly returned fire and grabbed up all of the loot and loaded it onto the ships. And then, because they were pissed off that somebody shot at them, they then strafed the planet with beam lasers. And
So I don't know if he or any of his people got a close look at those ships, but I mean, we can get close-up images of these two that are docking now to see if they are the same ships or if they are different. That's really all I'd like to confirm. You know, are the people that bombed the previous planet closely aligned or working with or for the people of this space station? Would be a very important thing to know before we have a diplomat go and make formal accusations.
So what he did tell you, these two ships that dock at this temporary ramshackle dock that's set up, they don't have any markings on them whatsoever. But what this envoy told you was that, or what the prince told you, was that the raiders were raiding Rael under the orders of somebody named Earl Igraine, and claimed that they had some kind of previous negotiated deal where Rael owed them money if they came back. There was no negotiated deal. Earl Grain had never raided their planet before. In fact, they were raided 3 years ago by another warlord from the Empire of Inveus, and you know they paid him off too. But these guys were from somebody named Earl Grain, and that's all he knows about them. These two ships, it's like he said. He goes that he looking out the window and looking at all of these sensors and whatnot. They all look like the ship. It's a pretty standard design. But he does tell you that those two and these right here. Those are, you can see that they are obvious modifications. That is a standard Malin class light transport used by traders all throughout this sector of space, but which you guys would be calling the far side of nowhere, or FSN. This he notes. There is a modification that is made to create the Malin 2 class, and that is the addition of 2 single turret beam lasers and 2 single turret missile racks. And so, I mean, that would track with what attacked his system or attacked his city, but he doesn't. As far as looking at those ships and saying, "Yeah, that's the guy who slimed me,"
Okay. There's no distinguishing markings that set off these ships as being different or the same.
Right.
Okay.
So Pappy sets you guys in, and as you are coming into this private dock, you can see that everything that you were told by Captain Clayton, and she kind of points it out, is true. Tradeport is a semi-functional station. You can see that there are areas of Tradeport that were never completed. I mean, you could classify this as a high port, kind of, but there's portions of it that were never finished, and you can still see scaffolding work that's set up that has obviously been here for many years. And you can see that there are other portions of Tradeport that are only partially completed, being used, and yet have deteriorated over time. So I mean, the whole port is in iffy construction. But pulling up to the ambassadorial port that you were cleared to dock at, it looks like it is actually fairly well built. It looks like it's well maintained, and Pappy has no problem pulling up and docking at this position. And he sets down onto a landing platform. So you guys, as you set down on this landing platform, you can see that before you even step off the ship, you can see that a set of doors opens up, and a honor guard of what looks like they are wearing probably dress uniforms. You can see an honor guard of either soldiers or probably station security comes out, and smartly they marched, and they stop on a dime and smartly all turn and face one another, creating an aisle in between them. And then you can see that this individual that you recognize as Marcus Feisler comes walking out. He's wearing a exquisitely fine looking suit, and over it, kind of draped over his shoulders, not actually wearing it, but he's got this leather long trench coat kind of thing that is lined with fur, probably synthetic fur. And I mean, the guy looks like he's dripping money, and probably thinks he's far more important than he truly is. And he's got a small gaggle of people that are following him. They're wearing various suits and all dressed in like a corporate manner, and they he kind of makes his way down this aisle of honor guard security officers. How are you guys dressed, and what are you carrying with you?
I'm gonna wear a medical outfit.
Okay.
Have me a medical kit, and you know,
So you're probably going pretty much standard. Standard that. So standard working dress, but you have probably a patch with a big red cross on it, showing that you are,
yeah,
medical.
maybe a monocle.
Okay. Okay.
You know, for style purposes, it's not prescription. It's very mundane.
Are you packing any
But,
weapons? I mean,
Um,
you see that like his security forces, they're all carrying, they're all in like a dress uniform. They have a sidearm. They do have like a carbine, but they have them shouldered, in formation. You don't see that he or his entourage are necessarily carrying even sidearms, but that doesn't mean they're not. Some of them could be concealed. You don't know who's a uh, you know bodyguard or security agent undercover and who isn't.
I'm not going to bring any weapons. I'm coming as the doctor, counselor, psychiatrist. What I'm going to do.
Okay.
I figure they see the big gun floating out in space, and they've got to understand that if they fuck around, they'll find out.
That's true. That's true. What about Mel?
Sorry, I changed up some of my controls. I think I'm just gonna go with the first suit that I had, which was the Protect suit.
Okay.
Looks semi-professional. And if you think I'm not packing, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm not sure if I'm carrying my Gauss subby.
I mean, who are they to tell us what we can or can't bring? We're coming. As long as we don't shoot, what the hell do they care?
Yeah, I mean, this is a
Excellent point.
true. This is a more of a diplomatic, financial kind of meeting. I don't know. Carrying a sidearm would be, or a sidearm, or like a ceremonial blade, or even a boot knife would be one thing. But I don't know that a carbine or a subby would be.
My thinking is that if you can't holster it, it's going to look out of place.
True.
That's my
kind of the point,
that's my thinking. Is that if you can't holster it, what the hell are you doing?
Well, I mean, it depends on what kind of role he's trying to be too. If he's coming to look to be our muscle, then I say get some heap rounds for that submachine gun and just kind of keep it there at your side.
Yeah, he could act as your security.
But I'm the broker, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could broker through force. That is a time-honored way to do it there. But I mean,
if one of us comes with some weapons and the other two don't, then that makes sense. I'm the least likely to probably do the negotiating, so I can carry weapons.
Bring them, yeah.
Because you guys are probably going to do more of the talking than I will on like any negotiation stuff. Because I got no skills like that. So I can just be the guy that's like, look, I'm a pilot. I don't leave without a gun.
That's a carry pistol, right?
The CS5.
It weighs 0.2 kilos, so it's got to be small.
Let me find it. That is sidearm. This one right here. Yeah, that's a small covert sidearm, 5mm.
There we go.
Small
That's
body
what I got.
pistol. Yeah, and I mean it is a body pistol, so it's made of lightweight ceramics and cultured bone. So it will pass.
Get through metal detectors.
Yes. In fact,
I'm going to encourage us to start manufacturing some stunners, since I recall that's not standard issue at all.
Right. Yeah, no.
And I really think it'd be nice to have an option to knock things out so that you can talk to them later, take them prisoner. And
yeah,
so,
the Instill Arms CS5 is made from plastics and cultured bone. Very difficult to detect using conventional weapon scanners. Body pistols impose a -4 to any electronic sensors check made to detect them.
You had me at hello.
So yeah, you can tuck that somewhere, and so
it's the Archer Chekhov gun, the underwear gun.
Yes, the Chekhov gun. Wow, that is slippery. Don't be like that. um, how is Sarda gearing up?
I think I'm gonna kind of do what I always do. I'm wearing my vac suit, and but it's got the chameleon full motion. So what I'm gonna do is just have it mirror the look of the shipboard work dress in
Okay.
terms of the holograms. Just gonna make it look similar to that color pattern and everything else. But I'm wearing a vac suit, and I'll have the helmet under my arm, or I guess it probably does that whole thing where it retracts. Yeah.
At
So I'll
that
have
tech
that.
level, I would think it would just retract back.
So the helmet retracted.
The gear, because that sounds fucking awesome.
The helmet's retracted, and I basically just have a stunner pistol on me. Actually, no. You know what? I'm gonna wear my Navy issued fancy rapier that they gave me.
Okay.
On from mustering out, very fancy rapier that I do not know how to use. So I'll have my ceremonial rapier and my stunner.
Okay. And so, Pappy, you're going armed.
Yeah, I'm going armed, like security force. I'll have like I like my laser, but I'll go with like the smaller the battery pack, not the big battery pack, and just like
Okay.
maybe I will just bring the whole thing and just walk behind. I'm like, I'm security. I'm just walking behind, laser pack, rifle on my back, and the handgun and the sidearm at my waist.
Okay. And then, how are you? Are you going? I mean, are you going full? Standard armor like the hostile environment suit, or are you going with standard body armor that would be like shipboard's body armor, which would look like this?
I'll go like that.
Okay.
That seems like appropriate for like a security personnel.
Okay. So this is, just keep in mind that's only +4 armor, but yeah, this is standard.
The other one looks overbearing, I think. The other one looks a bit much.
Yeah, the HEV is yeah. I mean it it's a little hardcore. Like you can walk through fire, and it's probably that one rung below. Really, it's like a poor man's battle dress. But yeah, it's and a poor man wouldn't be able to afford it, but still. And so you guys, as you kind of leave the ship and come out as your entourage, and Captain Clayton, she comes out, and she hasn't changed. She's wearing tight leather pants and a crop top and a leather jacket, and she's got a gun on each hip. And all of you can make a recon plus intellect check.
Nope.
Mel got it. Sarda got it. So Mel and Sarda, you as you step off, and Captain Clayton steps out, and she kind of is keeping pace with you. Mel and Sarda, you can see that Feisler kind of he kind of side eyes Clayton, and kind of an askance kind of look, and a little bit of a scowl. But it's quickly replaced with a pleasant look, and he smiles, and he holds out a hand to shake your hands and welcome you to Tradeport. And he says, "So, please come follow me. We can. I have a room with refreshments set up, and we can discuss deal. How can we help one another? What kind of deal can be made?
Perfect.
And so he kind of leads you in, and you come into this fairly nice business style conference room, and there are side tables set up with an array of foods and drink that is all laid out for you. And so Feisler kind of turns around and he says, "So, what you said that you're here for trade, or you are, if I understand correctly, you are in need of our shipyard facilities. Is that correct?"
We need to construct a dry dock to replace the jump drives of our ship. It would certainly be easier to modify an existing dry dock to do that than it would be to build one from
He
scratch.
says, "Well,"
And so
he says, "obviously our shipyards are not up to the task of anything as large as your ship.
Sure.
Magnificent. I have to say, she is magnificent. But we do have a mobile dockyard that it's already constructed, but it's not currently operational. I would be happy to let your team bring it up to snuff." And he goes, "In fact, that would be part of the trade deal, because once that mobile dockyard was in a functional state, that of course would help us later, because we could use it to
Sure.
continue working on Tradeport. As you can see, there are many parts of Tradeport that are not presently operational." And he says, "So, your engineers, obviously, it's been out of operation for some time, because we don't have the engineers that would be required to bring it up to speed. So I would leave that in your capable hands, and I would imagine that would be a lot faster than building or constructing a dry dock of your own."
Certainly faster.
And he says, "So that would certainly assist." He says, "So, in addition, I could use your help with a couple of smaller problems as payment for using our facilities to repair your vessel."
Okay.
He says, "So, in addition to repairing the dockyard and having use of it, I have problems on two systems that we do regular trade with. The first is in the grit system, and the second is at a system called Wildwood. So let's see here. So the situation with the grit system is that and it's about 2 parsecs away, and it's not really a well, we're not really sure what's going on. So it is a location of economic value to us. We've invested a great deal in ore and mineral extraction resources, and it seems that over the past about the past 6 or 7 months, the output from those extraction resources has been dropping, and we have sent queries to find out why this is the case, and we've only received back some very vague responses, essentially stating that prospecting has not shown any good prospects lately, and extraction has been very difficult. And now it seems that we've not received the last 2 shipments, and so we would like a delegation to go to Grit and kind of see firsthand what is going on."
There's been no communication at all, or you just have not received the
So
shipments?
we haven't received the last 2 shipments, and any communications has been very vague as to as to why
you've not
Right.
received the shipments.
Right.
Okay. Do you know anything about the ships that attacked the system we just came from? We have a diplomat from that system.
So the diplomat from Envious kind of, or I'm sorry, the diplomat from Oriel kind of steps forward, and
I'll introduce him.
And so he shakes Feisler's hand. Feisler says, "Oh, that's terrible that you were raided." He says, "You'll want to take up that matter with the person in charge over in Little Envious." And he gives directions, and there is a portion of the port that has kind of been taken over. Taken over isn't necessarily, it is the right word, but not in an official capacity. But it's called Little Envious, and basically the Empire of Envious' ships that do any work at Tradeport tend to operate directly out of Little Envious, and Feisler kind of seems a little irritated about Little Envious, and he brings up the temporary dock port that was set up, and that Little Envious has kind of taken that port, that temporary port over, and their ships bypass all of the normal flight patterns as well as berthing fees, and instead dock at this temporary port and operate out of Little Envious. He says, "I have very little say. I can of course make overtures on your behalf, but really, if you have a formal complaint, that is where you will want to bring that up."
Good. I look forward to seeing how they handle this issue, because I find that how governments address the weaker members of their alliance to be really tells us a lot about how that government functions. And so a low-tech world like theirs does not deserve to be preyed upon. And so I look forward to seeing how that will be addressed.
Captain Clayton stifles a snorting laugh. She goes, "Okay." And he says, "So that's the problem that we're having with Grit, is that we need to find out why we're not getting any of our mineral extraction shipments. The other issue is another 2 parsecs in an opposite direction, in the system, Wildwood system. And Wildwood is, we have a large logging operation that's set up there. And we have received reports, again, we're getting less shipments of timber than we normally would from the forests on Wildwood, and we are receiving some reports that something strange, in quotes, is happening in the forests. And there is all manner of strange claims. We've got anything from tales of Wendigo to an Aranalaska, which is and he says, "I'm sorry, you're not from here. The Aranalaska is a legendary creature that is supposed to run around wilderness areas, killing people at random, much like old Terran stories of the Wendigo." He says, "It's all absurd. These aren't real things. They might as well be, a ghost or some kind of phantom. These are made up creatures." And so we would like somebody to go and investigate Wildwood as well.
Okay.
Well, if you're wanting, okay, we're gonna fix and make your mobile dock usable, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that seems like an even fair trade for use of the thing that you have that's not usable. Is that we make it usable and leave it in a thing, and then probably educate a round of your engineers on how to make. I think that's a fair deal straight across the board. Now, if you
Not to
want,
mention what we're gonna buy to fix it up.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. Now,
he says, well, you're leaving out one other benefit that I'm going to extend to you. Obviously, you and your crew of your ship are clearly not from this region, which means you probably don't have much in the way of local currency. And he says, but I can alleviate that. While you are here at Tradeport, I want to extend to you a essentially a line of credit. And he says you can do whatever you want with it, and as long as it is spent in Tradeport, or especially in our casinos, enjoy yourselves while you're here. You're much of your crew is probably not engineers. Let them have a good time. As long as that money is spent in our local economy, because it's all going back into the local economy, I'll just write it off at the end. You don't have to pay me back anything.
All right. So we now need to factor in casinos with our work schedule.
yeah,
have to. Like, oh, got him. Okay, this week I'm taking off for drinking and gambling.
That just doubled our time.
Well, the thing is that you're having problems with raiders and stuff around your mining areas.
Well, we don't know if there's any raiders. I mean, there's no evidence that the raiders have hit.
Well, hear me out. How about in exchange for us going and making sure that your resource chain is intact, if it's not, putting it intact, that we get a claim to some of the resources that we may need in order to get our ship going, because we might need to do some light mining or something like that around, and in return, we can probably share some more technologically advanced weapons platforms that you could use for defense. That might deter raiders from coming around, or other people going against you. If you had maybe some system defense boats or something like that was a little bit.
So he is really excited by this idea. You all notice his eyes kind of light up a little bit, and he says, I mean, of course, defense platforms would be welcomed. He says, but you know what I could really use? And I would be willing to extend to you additional credit. In fact, if what I understand is correct, you've been in space for some time. I mean, perhaps you don't use the dock just to repair, whatever minor issues you're having with, or even major issues that you're having with the ship. Why don't you just spend a little bit more time and do a complete overhaul and fix everything? And he goes, I'm sure that for the length of time you've been in space, that would be a great morale boost to your crew. In exchange, what I would like, rather than defense platforms, although fantastic, what I would really appreciate would perhaps be machinery that would be able to cheaply produce high quality tech level 12 electronics. I don't need anything high tech. I want the ability to, how to put this gently, I want to undercut my competitors. And if I could create those tech level 12 electronics right here, I could sell them at a much better value.
We can literally.
We don't intend to stay here that long. We're going to get our ship fixed and we're getting out of here.
It's going to take us months to get our ship fixed.
Right. But I mean, this would be far longer, right? On top of that, shore leave is great when it's planet side. Shore leave on a space station, it feels just like being on a ship.
That's true.
So, it's not that great holiday for if they were working planet side, that would be a selling point.
Well,
but,
but
there is a planet here.
Everyone appreciates a little bit of strange, however.
Yeah,
Oh.
there is a Bayou, which is it has a Class B downport, and they would have
Yeah.
casinos and whatnot too. I mean, they're at like tech level 8 locally, but
I mean, the things that he's asking for though is like so easy for us to.
Well, he was talking about us completely overhauling the space station, right? I mean that
no,
that is not.
overhauling Revolution. So, things like some of your showers not adequately getting hot water, or lighting that flickers, or ergonomic and control bases that need to be fixed, repairing upholstery, fixed warped deck plating, that kind of thing. That wouldn't take you that much longer.
The thing that we did right before we left Charted Space.
Exactly.
Is what he's talking about. And
the standard dry dock schedule for an Element class cruiser is about once every 2 years, and that dry dock experience is generally meant to fix all of these minor annoyances.
Sure.
Whereas you guys have been in space for 6.5 years, and you've basically bubble gummed and used paper clips to keep things together.
Well, we did a full overhaul, and that wasn't even a year ago, right? I mean, when we built the dry docks, and
we rebuilt all the pinnaces.
That's true. Well, you did do a rebuild of the pinnaces. That, of course, happened in the hangars of the ship itself. About a year and a half ago, you did do a pretty major overhaul. So, I mean, you may not need all of that, but it's up to you.
I mean, his first go fetch it quest sounds an awful lot to me like that he wants us to be a bill collector.
Well, he's not. I mean, maybe. They don't. The response. The only communication that they've got is that, oh, well, the ore's just not coming up, or just didn't have a good prospecting this week, and then now they just haven't received any. 2 shipments haven't shown up at all. So I mean, I guess you could call it a bill collector thing.
My issue with it is not that it's a fetch quest. That's no problem. My issue is that us doing it for him makes it look as if we are working for him.
The biggest bad ship in the quadrant was now in his side.
Right. And that
bad look.
Oh, well, I mean, I wouldn't think that you would want to take your ship. I assume you have smaller craft that are capable. You don't have to say that you're even really, associated with Tradeport in any way. We would just like to find some information on what's going on.
Well, we can go investigate, get information easy enough, and we can make fabrication chambers to give you the ability. We can fabricate fabrication chambers with the fabrication chamber, and you can easily have your TL12 production facility for electronics. We can accommodate that easy enough. All it takes is some resources to make that happen.
What year? When did your ancestors misjump to get out here?
And I think they just came out here from Terra, didn't they?
Yeah, they came out here from Terra, but it would have been during the long night. Hold on, I will.
So, because I mean, we do have computers that would have some records, and so trying to figure that out.
It would be. Let me get
because Terra is in the Soleimani rim of the Imperium, and so we're from the same government that Terra's from. I mean, it's a very different region than.
So it would have been sometime so your Imperial year would be. more math. It was around 11:05 when you left. So it would now be sometime around 11:11, give or take.
Okay.
They left the long night. Sometime they would have left sometime between negative 1776 to between year 0. So you're talking as possibly as much as nearly 2,000 years ago to maybe you know, as little as 1,000 years ago, somewhere in that range.
We're definitely interested in any computer records that might have survived from the original trip. I don't know if those exist.
Everybody make a recon plus intellect check. Mel got it. Josephus got it.
I got 12.
I did not.
And Pappy got it. So Pappy, Mel, and Bocephus, over kind of, you notice in the background, very faintly, there is some music playing in this room, and it is some kind of a march that sounds vaguely familiar. Mel, you start to hum along with it. You've heard this song before, and it dawns on you that this is it is an ancient song called March of the Victorious Pilots, and it is dating back to the Old Earth era. It's from an opera that is about the interstellar wars that happened between the first encounters between what is now the Soleimani and the Volani.
Cool.
So I mean, this song is playing, and that they kind of like this is like a normal song for them. Kind of dates them. It would
Right.
be, they consider it to be like classical music.
So I'll just say, that ship when it misjumped, that was as much as 2,000 years in our past. We have traveled here the normal way without a misjump, and have the way back mapped, and we intend to return once we're done with our mission. So any information that we can bring back regarding your expedition would be wonderful, because all of that data was lost the moment those ships misjumped, and it's been so long that a lot of those records are gone. And so we're definitely interested in any information or data that you have managed to keep from that time period, because historians would definitely be interested in understanding what happened to you and to your people.
Oh, most certainly. That would be fantastic. Anything, any kind of information exchange that we could do, I would be very happy to deal with.
And we can look at our records and try to determine, with blood samples and things like that, we can do DNA tests and give you information regarding, descendants of people that may have been on that ship, that you may find that you're related to people that we know of now, and so there's some interesting data that we might be able to put together. Some of you may be related to people who've done amazing things in the Imperium since that time period.
He does say, he goes, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't know how long or what it took for you to get all the way out here. He says, but there would be many in this region, both in the Commonwealth and the Great Republic, and possibly some people right here on Tradeport, that might not want too much of that information to get back to old Earth. Mostly because if I understand my history correctly, and I am no historian, so I may be wrong, but as far as I know, there was some animosity that our ancestors originally had going on with the corporations that were made up the old Earth Union. And so, not knowing what the situation on Earth is, I don't necessarily know that they would be very excited by the idea that the old Earth Union would be sending ships out this way.
Well, we certainly have information about all the changes that have occurred to Old Earth. I mean, we ourselves are not from Old Earth. I've never been. It's quite a ways away from where I grew up, and I'm sure the same is true of the rest of our crew. So, we'd be happy to share information on what has changed. I think any corporations that they may have debts to probably don't exist anymore. A lot has happened in the meantime. But I could be wrong, and those corporations might be petty enough to realize that 60 generations ago, one of you owed some money to them, and they're going to keep trying to collect that money. I mean, it doesn't seem likely to me, but yeah.
Well, and I mean, so he's talking about the old Earth Union, which it's in and of itself hasn't existed for at least the last 1,200 years. So,
yeah, so
it's now the Soleimani Confederation. Old Earth Union dissolved with what is known as the rule of man, which was the Second Imperium that fell flat on its face.
So we'll let him know that any government that they may have been working under at the time no longer exists. So that is not shouldn't be an issue.
He said, and he also he broaches the subject. He says, "So, are you the vanguard of a fleet of ships that are going to be coming, or
no? We've been sent on an expedition to track down and destroy a fungal growth that has wiped out entire planets.
We have a video.
Yeah, we're tracking this down.
Your Fallout video. Oh, this is Among Us.
Yeah, it tells it, but it breaks it all down. I mean,
Yeah, we've put together a little welcome to the fungus 5-minute information video.
Yeah,
and I've got a hollow projector on my wristwatch, so I can just sort of pop it up right there.
Which he is amazed at, and he's very impressed with the technology. And he kind of watches the video and he says, I don't think we've had any dealings with that." He says there are some strange goings on. Just I don't know, spacers tales. Maybe they're just how trade captains can be. And he looks up. He gives us another one of those disgusted side glances at Captain Clayton. He goes, "You know how those spacers can be, but
this fungus would destroy absolutely everything on the planet, and then once it's out of food, would begin to die off, and so it would leave barren planets in its wake."
But it wouldn't really die off. It would go dormant, and it would wait. And if it would try to attach itself to passing comets and asteroids, and hope that just one little spore could set up in a different system.
What's the name? Is it the droin? It's the other. Yeah.
So there's plenty of droin in the Commonwealth.
Right. Well, the original droin that were a government and entity unto themselves before they began mixing with the other races, they were also pursuing this entity, and we've managed to locate several of their own sites with regards to this entity, and so we've been sort of in the shadows of the droin themselves as they move towards the fungal entity. But anyway, it's a 20-year round trip is what we signed on for, and we are about 6 years into it.
He says, "Well, this video that you've played," he says that I haven't heard any reports of anything like this happening to any, especially to any worlds. I would think that information would would probably make the rounds pretty quickly, unless possibly it happened in the Republic. They tend to keep things under wraps. He says, but we have had some peculiar, like I said, drunken spacer stories. Um, they've been bopping around for about the past 200 years. I believe and he looks over at one of his aides. He goes, "Didn't they claim to start in like the Bridia sector?" And this guy says, "Yes, it was in the Bridia sector around 200 years ago." Says there's been reports of living ships, and they they appear to have some kind of organic origin, and these ships are alive, and crazy spacer tales. I've never personally seen one, and they don't really seem to be that big of a issue. And if they were, then I would expect there to be a mass invasion going on, and none of that's happened for the last 200 years. So I'm not sure if there's anything like this fungus going on.
We've had close interactions with large spacefaring entities that look kind of like whales, large fish, and but they certainly didn't seem organized or aggressive, aside from any animal would be if you got too close to them.
He says, "Well, that is fascinating," and he kind of gets distracted for a second, and he turns over to one of his aides, and they have a large, well, not a large, but they have a small leather or velvet kind of sack, and he opens it up, and he reaches inside, and he pulls out for what looks like a credit card, but it's clear, except that it has one little tab on it, and he hands it to you, and he says, just press your thumb to that, and that will encode it to you, and that will allow you to make purchases on your line of credit all across Tradeport and down on the planet Bayou down below us. He says the line of credit is open, and like I said, as long as you spend it here within our own economy, we are perfectly happy to call it even when you are finished.
Okay, this is very generous of you.
He says, "Oh, and there's more of these, so we can hand them out to your crew whenever they come aboard. We'll make sure that they get one."
And they won't have any difficulty using this as well, planet side, or is that
no.
Is that a different economy? Okay.
No, it's the same economy that most of our interests are the planet Bayou.
Good, because I imagine most of our people are going to want to go planet side. They've been inside a ship for a very long time.
Oh, I can only imagine that they'll want to feel some firm ground beneath their feet.
Perfect.
So it seems like we have come to an agreeable deal. I will allow your engineering crews to look over the mobile dock and get started whenever they're ready.
Perfect.
That sounds wonderful, and we will go take a look at the two locations you spoke of and see what's going on. But we can't promise solving the solutions.
I'm looking at
your supplies just yet.
I'm paying attention to the woman that we came with, because it doesn't seem like she's getting anything she wants out of this. So,
yeah, she's kind of listened to all of this, and it is pretty obvious that she's. It's pretty obvious to her that she's been kind of cut out of the deal. She has gone over and is kind of on the side of this meeting, and she is sitting there talking to the delegate from the city of Oriel in Nasar. And when you kind of approach her, she says, the delegate says, "Oh, so Captain Clayton has told me that she has some contacts in Little Envious and would be happy to assist in getting me into contact with somebody so that I can file a formal complaint."
I definitely want to participate in your filing that complaint. It matters to me, and I am invested in the outcome.
He says, well,
And so-
the more the merrier. And she goes, yeah, the more the merrier.
I could not care less about fucking raider activity in some random system way the fuck out here. I understand that sort of them are, but I'm more inclined to tell the captain that, look, you're not totally being cut out. We're going to compensate you for your time and your efforts. It just might not be by your plan of skimming off the top of any deal we make.
And we saved her on a lot. We saved her on a lot of fuel.
I mean,
Yeah.
shit, we could give her one of them planet side passes for the money. But like, hey, you think she helped us get it? You think you could kick her one of those planet side money things?
I think
Yeah.
we could just get her. We could give her shit that's relatively free to us if we gave her just medical knowledge of 2 technical levels higher than anything there. She would be set for life, going and pimping that information out across the cosmos. I mean, there's something as quick as a data stick could make her set for her whole existence. So, I mean,
So-
we don't have to give her anything but knowledge.
So Feisler, so when Pappy says, brings up, well, she helped us, can't you give her one of those too? Feisler kind of grits his teeth a little bit, and he reaches into the bag and pulls one out, and he says, certainly, here you are, Captain Clayton. She goes, that is so kind of you, Marcus. And he goes, that's Mr. Feisler to you. And she says, oh, I apologize. I thought we were better friends than that. And she kind of taps it. She goes, well, I'm off to the casino. Have fun.
Yeah. So I don't really care about the other planet and that they got raided. What I care about is if this governing body screws over people like them, then we have to worry about them screwing us over. And if we look like we are rigidly enforcing justice or expecting and demanding justice, then there's less likelihood of them trying to screw us over. That's my thinking in this.
That's a solid line of thinking, and I see no problem with it.
Yeah, I don't really care about their planet either. I just don't want to be screwed by these governments. And so if I can play strong arm and make them realize that we give a damn about justice and doing things right, then we might be able to, we're not going to be taken advantage of.
We're pretending that we are the people that we should be rather than the people that we are.
Yeah.
Wow. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
So I shouldn't start shooting people, is what you're saying.
Not yet. I mean, seems like
I think it'd be more fun to go deal with raiders and just fucking, do something like that. Be a police force than it would be to, play miner, lumberjack, fucking fisherman.
Yeah, but I don't want to get stuck into fucking a 3-sided war.
Nope, I just want to start it so it's really kicking off by the time that we pack up and leave. I'm Loki. What I am. I'll make their history books better.
You saw how I tried to get them to all give us their genetic data, right?
Oh, I did. I saw that, and I was like, I was thinking, oh, I need to shut up because I love some DNA. I don't want to fuck that up.
We could we could 23andMe you guys. You just need to give us all your genetic data, and we'll be happy to tell us if your ancestors survived.
Here we go with Bocephus collecting data again. So
Well, that's
No,
the-
hey,
I don't
Sardis
know why they
started
didn't go
that.
for it. I honestly thought
That was sort of the.
Yeah.
I was one suggested that. I'm like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
We could volunteer to 23andMe them all so that we can
No.
get their genetic data.
So we've got teams of engineers talking and looking, right, to figuring out what the fuck needs to go down to get this mobile dock working right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I was just
in the
going to
meantime,
ask. So are you before heading over with the delegate to Little Enveus? Are you going to radio Revelation and tell them to send engineering crews to check out this mobile dock, or?
Yeah. We want engineering crew to check out the mobile dock, and we also want a list of any minerals that we might need for replication that we don't have. Whether it be, because I mean, we've been trying to replicate smaller parts that'll be needed for this process, but if there's anything that we know we're missing, molybdenum or whatever,
Right.
heavy, if there's any weird metals or anything like that we need to trade for, getting a list of what we'd need would also be helpful. So
Okay. So yeah, you radio that information over, and the chief engineer gathers a crew, and they are going to go check out the mobile dock while you make your trip over to Little Enveus. And so I don't really there's not really any map here or anything for Little Enveus, but you make your way through Tradeport, and it much of the station is throngs of people, and there are just a plethora of gambling casinos and drinking establishments and hotels, and the concourse of the main section is a pretty lively place. Lots of business, mostly geared around entertainment, but there are some area or some sections that are obviously for trade. Various all part of the trade consortium. You don't see a whole lot of you do see a lot of individual businesses, but all of those businesses are a part of this trade consortium. They are, you could call it, it is what it is. It's a guild, and all of these businesses are a part of this guild, and they all benefit from the fact that Tradeport exists. But you make your way in the direction that was given to you over to a kind of, I guess you could call it a slum. It is near where the what they call the Empire of Enveus Embassy, and whenever you ask for directions, they're like, oh yeah, the embassy is over there. And it is a utterly chaotic business district. There are numerous people that are moving about. A lot of times you have to turn sideways to get through the throngs of people. You immediately notice that there are a lot of people that are living on the streets. For corridors, they've got little shanty towns set up. And everybody can make a Recon plus intellect check.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't see it that time.
So, actually, you all got it.
Oh, sure.
Mel, you catch the wrist of a filthy young boy that is trying to go up and was trying to pick. Let's see, which one of you? They were trying to pick Pappy's pocket.
They wanted to pick the guy with the guns pocket, huh?
Yep.
That's a bad idea.
And it looked like he was trying to lift one of trying to lift the credit card out of Pappy's pocket, and you kind of catch his wrist, and there's this dirty, scrubby looking face, and he looks like he's probably 10 years old.
What do we have here?
I feel like as a former belter, I might be a little sympathetic to his plight.
He says, I'm sorry, I was just hoping to get something to eat. My sister and I haven't had any food for a couple of days.
We'll go get your sister.
Says, she's right over here, and he leads you over, and there's this girl who looks like she's probably about 6, and she's kind of, they have like a little shelter that is made up of a refrigerator box, kind of tucked in an alley out of the way. Both of them look like they are fairly emaciated.
Pappy's gonna do like that whole like makeover thing, like come with me, kid. We're gonna
I can't
take
believe
him back to
they're not exporting these people to planets that could use populace.
Well, I
I
mean,
was just gonna give him the whole makeover, food, clothes, all that shit.
Fuck yeah, man! Make them indentured servants and take them with us. They don't have to actually work. They just could go to school and learn and become part of our.
Pappy decides they both deserve a career as pilots.
Yeah, they're coming with us.
Okay. And so,
Yeah.
the kids are like they're not quite sure what to say, but but as you are, the other thing that you notice is that as you're looking around, everybody that makes their living here in Little Enveus appears to be downtrodden and fearful. It seems that for the most part, petty, victimless crimes are pretty much ignored. But there is an overriding tension of a fear from institutionalized bullying. You get the feeling like you're being watched, and that it's like everybody's paying protection to organized crime.
Right. So I'm going to turn to the diplomat from the other planet, and I'm going to say, it seems like your planet's got a lot of space for people. How come there's been no effort to remove... I mean, these people are basically vagrants here, right? They're not employed by the space station. They're just occupying space and, gutting each other for food. How come there's been no effort to move them off station to, say, your planet or another one?
Since I'm really not sure. I mean, you've been to Nasar. We don't. We have some contact with outside worlds, and from what I understand, we fall within the borders of the Empire of Enveus, if you can call them borders. He goes, I don't have a lot of knowledge in that area, but the most contact that we have, obviously, with what little trade that we do with free traders such as Captain Clayton. Aside from that, the only real contact we have is when we've been raided in the past by a warlord from the Empire. Because nobody's ever made any attempts to do any humanitarian efforts. It seems fairly one-sided.
It seems rather short-sighted to me. I mean, these people are not... This is a resource that is not being used by this space station, aside from illegally.
Well, I mean, this is the first time this delegate's even been to Tradeport.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm like, these people are... I mean, possibly fulfilling a black market need for the people of the station. Maybe some of them do a little extra work as stevedores when a large shipment comes in. But largely, this is a population that's doing no good here. If they were on a planet somewhere, they could possibly be productive and not be starving to death. But
right.
Yeah.
So, like, interesting. I have to look at this. So, Pappy, you kind of find a small side shop. How do you want to dress this child or these children? I mean, what level are you talking about?
I want them to be like, not like, I'm not trying to be like, hey, look, you're in top hat and stuff now, but like, I want them to be like nice, like comfortable.
Okay.
Like
So-
whatever I see the average, like well-off person wearing, I want them to have that. Like not well-off, but like the average person wearing.
Okay. So probably you're probably talking about 200 Commonwealth credits per kid. You know, if you think that, you know, the average shoe is going to cost probably at least 50 credits. So yeah, about 200, but it's all on it's all on Feisler's dime, right? You're just using your card. You don't have it.
He said it all goes back into their community anyway, so whatever I buy supports them. He didn't care.
That's right. And so you do find a small side shop that has clothing, and they have a clothing consultant, which essentially is a mirror. And whatever you place the kid in front of the mirror, and the clothing consultant will do a holographic overlay of different articles of clothing and show what the kid looks like, and it even measures them up and tells, you know, what size they need, etc. And so you guys spend probably an hour getting the kids decked out and getting some new shoes, and then you were going to buy them some food and drink. I take it.
And if the guy asks in any way, shape, or form, they owe me a life debt now because I somehow saved them and they owe me a life debt. They're mine for life.
So
if anybody asks, that's what I'm gonna say, so that they don't like where we come from. You save someone's life, they owe you a life debt.
Okay.
Just wink at the kid so he knows that he's not
Yeah.
a slave.
Like I'm telling the kid this ahead of time. I'm like, hey kid, anybody ask? I saved your life.
And so you probably spend about 250 credits total, and these kids mow down some questionable fast food, and you get them dressed, and you spend probably about an hour doing that, and the boy says, well, he says I was following you for a little bit, and I overheard you're looking for the embassy, the Envious embassy, and he says it's right over there. I can take you to it.
Perfect.
So he
Excellent.
takes you over to the Envious embassy, and outside of the entrance, and there, you know, crowded, shitty corridors, and there is this large airlock that leads into this side section of the station. And outside of these airlocks, you see that there are like 4 guys standing there. All of them are openly armed with submachine guns.
Awesome.
And they're dressed pretty raggedly, to be real honest. But they are wearing, like, you know, ballistic vests. And
I will warn the guy we're going with that don't expect a lot from this. This is probably a shitty job. They're probably not given a lot of money, and then they immediately go and blow it all in the casinos.
So you kind of come up, and one of the armed guys kind of stands out front and says, "What's your business here?"
I will introduce the diplomat with us and explain that we are here to see a consulate.
And all 4 of them just kind of start to laugh a little bit, and then he goes, "Oh, well, please step right in."
Excellent. Thank you.
So you get through this airlock and kind of past a dingy-looking antechamber, and when you step out into the main area, it looks nothing like it does out in the streets of Little Inverness. You step into a long hall that looks like it is decorated pretty much from hollows that you've seen of in movies of like old Earth. There is a lot of faux marble, fake marble columns,
this is great.
and a lot of richly stained wood. And at the end of this long hall, you can see that there is a dais that appears to have a throne on it, and like a rotating throne, and it is surrounded by a ton of video monitors that are displaying just a unbelievable amount of information from God knows where. You see what looks like stock tickers and atmospheric details and ship schematics. There's just all sorts of stuff around this throne. And you can see that off in the sides of this little area, or of this long hall, in between the columns, there are a number of little cliques of people that are all fairly decently dressed. They look like they would belong in a royal court. All of you, as you're walking into this area, some of these people that are off to the sides will kind of bow politely, and then they'll quietly mention their names or say, I'm the minister in charge of Enveus property gathering, or I'm the ambassador of the minister of mining, or what have you, and they kind of nod and shake your hands as they introduce themselves to you as you're walking in. You guys all get this immediate feeling of almost like homesickness, because probably at some point you have either seen on a video, or may have actually taken part in. There is this sense of like what you would have seen in a court back in charted space. And when you
I'm interested in the monitors. I'm trying to figure out if those are just bullshit, or if they're actually trying to display real data. Like, is this like a Star Trek scene prop where it's showing ticker tapes to make it look important, or is this actually? So I'm just kind of watching.
Yeah,
book.
Good.
I'm just sort of watching.
Make an investigate plus intellect check.
All right. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, investigate. Forgot about that. Yeah, because I'm sort of curious if that's just a prop or if it's actually tracking anything real. 12. Nice.
So it is. It is, a lot of it is real data, but you're not sure why anybody would be necessarily tracking. So like some of the monitors are indeed tracking financial data. Looks like it's probably financial data from trades that are going on right here on Tradeport.
Sure.
Possibly right from this section, Little Inverness. There are other monitors that are doing things like constant monitoring of atmospheric conditions. There's like on the station, but it's set up to look like a weather monitor.
Right.
And then there are screens that they're just bullshit monitors. It's real information, but there's no reason why anybody would be constantly monitoring it.
So it's a mix of real information and then probably information just to make whoever sits in that chair look very important, because they've got all this data and flashing in near them.
Exactly. And so as you approach, the throne kind of turns. As you're approaching, the back of the chair is kind of facing you, and the throne kind of turns. And you see this guy stands up. He is rather good looking. Looks like he's probably around 45 years old. He's wearing a fashionable suit, and he's got a sash that goes across his body that has a number of decorations on it, and that you're assuming is probably titles and rank insignias. And he comes down and he says, I heard that we had some guests from afar that have joined or come to our fine port. And he comes up to shake each of your hands and says, my name is Earl Egrain. And he shakes each of your hands and says, welcome to Tradeport.
I will whisper before he gets to us to the diplomat. Sorry, if I'd known, we'd have made you a sash.
And he kind of just ignores that, but he's all smiles, and he says please, I've known about I mean, a ship that size, it's really hard to not know when you guys come into the system, am I right? So please come with me. And he leads you over to his private chambers, and there are these huge engraved double wood doors French doors that he opens up, and inside there is all manner of food and drink available. And he says, please help yourselves. What can I help you with?
We're hoping to seek redress for an injustice that's been done on one of the systems nearby, and I will introduce the diplomat from. I can't remember the name of the system.
It's the oh shit! Now I can't remember it. It's catching. It is NASER, the NASER system.
NASER from the NASER system.
And so the delegate kind of steps forward, and Early Grange shakes his head, and everybody make a recon plus intellect check.
Oh, hell yeah, 13.
Well, looks like you all got it. So you immediately notice that this delegate, as he comes up and is shaking Earl Egraine's hand, he has turned like 3 shades of white. Like, he is scared shitless. And he's kind of shaking, and he shakes his hand, and Earl Egraine goes, please tell me, how can I help you? What has happened? And the delegate kind of looks over his shoulder at you guys, and he says, well, your Earlship. He says, our capital city, Rail, was assaulted by 2 raiders that claim to be taking tribute due to a negotiation in your name. And Earl Green says, oh? He says, so, well, did Rael have a previous agreement with me? I don't remember the name of that city or the NASER system. You'll have to excuse me. I don't get off of Tradeport very often. He says, no, sir. We've never had any interaction with you, sir. And he says, then there must be some kind of error. I will definitely look into this. He says, what was the amount taken? And the delegate reaches in and he pulls out a small sheaf of paper, and he says, he lists off
and the number of lives lost.
Yeah. He lists off monetary value and damage values done to the city. And Early Grain says, those raiders did quite a bit of damage. I want you, and he goes over and he pulls out a Commonwealth credit, and he sets it to closed amount. And he hands it to the guy, and he says, I want you to take this back to your people. They can charge anything that they need to that credit chit, and I will cover the cost of any repairs and anything that was stolen. He says, I don't know how this happened. There must have been some kind of mistake.
And so I'll convey the information we have on the ships that we saw, and then any more information that the diplomat can provide would be helpful.
Says, yeah, those sound like Malin class or Malin 2 class trade ships. Pretty common vessel in this region. A lot of ships captains will modify them in order to become raiders. And he says, and I do admit that the Empire of Inveus has a slight problem with some of our warlords being raiders. I, sir, am not one of them. My name has been sullied.
Well, I appreciate you acting on this.
I'd like to read his surface thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make a read surface thoughts check. Telepathy plus psi.
It's gonna be like these fuckers.
13.
Yeah.
That's a really nice effect. I got down in there.
Let's see.
Yeah, because it's DC 8, I believe.
Yep, and the effect tells how well I get in there and massage his brain wrinkles with my mind.
He is thinking about. He didn't expect that you would have a delegate from Rael. He did order the attack on. He did order the raid on Rael. The names of the two ships. Hold on here. It was.
It's too bad you're telling us this right now, because I was about to suggest that we'd be happy to track down these loose cannons for you.
Down here.
And now you're like, oh, no need whatsoever. Don't worry.
The name of the two ships were Bindley's Barge and Great Deals, and both are currently docked at Little Inveus temporary port, right here on Tradeport.
Great Deals is a fantastic name for a ship.
Right? It's Great Deals with the exclamation mark.
Perfect. That's fantastic.
Like, would you mind if we spoke to the crews of and I'll name the two ships? They happen to be docked here.
He says, "Oh well." He says, "You certainly could. In fact, I would be happy to send some of my security with you."
Thank you. That's fantastic.
Thank you. We have reason to believe that those are the ships that attacked, and therefore we would like to investigate the matter. Maybe look at their computer data and see if they did, in fact, look at their browser history, if you will.
He says, "Well, if you believe that those are the vessels that were involved, I want to go with you because I want to talk to their captains as well."
Well, fantastic.
Yeah,
I love this type of hands-on and management.
Yeah. And then I'll whisper to him, maybe hush so most people don't hear it. It'd be like, look, you don't have to worry about your past transgressions as much as you need to worry about your path forward. If you get my meaning, friend.
Make a persuasion plus social check.
Damn, I'm on the wrong character.
Yeah, you're not fabulous.
I'm okay.
You're okay at persuasion, if I recall, and your social's not bad.
No, my social's okay. I got a 9 in social, 2 in plus 3. My other character on Wednesday night is like,
yeah,
he's special. I got a 10.
So he kind of listens to what you said, and he kind of side eyes you, and he says, "Well, sir, I'm not sure what you mean, but let's go ahead and deal with this and deal with what's directly in front of us."
Sounds wonderful to me.
Certainly.
Well, so I'm not trying to be the vindicator here, but I'm like, if we could get this guy to act right and have this big act of righteousness, at least while we're around port, then our experiences here will be more lawful. What I'm thinking.
Okay.
You know, if they all, shine their shoes and act real nice because they know Santa's coming by with all the goody goods, then that would will just be the carrot rather than the stick.
Yeah. I mean, because the way they see us treating a stranger is going to be nothing compared to the way we're going to treat our own crew if they try to fuck our crew over. So that's very important for them to realize that we are going to seek justice if there's any injustice done to our crew.
So
Right.
before we break for the week, as you guys are leaving to head over to the dock, you do get a radio from your engineering crew. They have looked over the mobile dock, and
Yep.
the chief engineer says, yeah, it's going to take us about 10 days, and we'll be able to get this thing up and running. He says, really, the number of things that are simple that need to be fixed is mind-boggling, that they haven't been fixed in this long, but he goes, I don't want to come off sounding like, I'm saying that the locals here are idiots, but they're clearly not stupid, but they don't have the experience that we have. So it'll take me about 10 days and we can get this thing up and running and we can start overhauling the jump drive.
How long would it take if we're training a local crew on what we're doing?
He says, with having
15 days?
maybe 15 days, because we're going to have to go at a slower pace so that they can understand what we're doing.
I think it's worth it.
These people are descendants of crews that misjumped horribly, and so I would imagine that now 1,000 or 2,000 years later, they're not great at keeping a good repair schedule. So maybe we need to train them so that they've got some people who actually know what the hell they're doing.
He says, okay, we'll take 15 days. To give you hard numbers, once it is up and running, so really this is your chance to decide if you decide to place security as your emphasis. It means that the ship would be inoperable for about 20% of the time, but it will take 2D plus 21 days. If you decide that you want it fixed as fast as possible, the ship will be completely out of commission for 90% of the time for 2D plus 7 days. Or you can do a balanced approach, which is about inoperable for about 50% of the time and will be 2D plus 14 days. So
if we're doing 2 fetch quests, that's 21 days. That's 28 days right there. Right?
True.
Jump to one system is a week, jump back, that's another week, jump to the next. That's
true.
4 weeks right there. So we're already, if we're going to do those 2 fetch quests, we're already burning 28 days. So I don't have any problem going with the safest and most secure method.
If you go to a strange town,
I don't disagree.
That has, a less than desirable medical facilities and stuff like that, right? You're going to a primitive country and you're seeing some girls and you're going to go on and have the whackety fuckety fuck. Here's the question. Are you going to use some topical protective cream or a condom?
Yeah.
And we should be using the condom with antibacterial cream and a nice little ass shot to make sure we don't have anything,
Penicillin.
you'll get a penicillin shot just in case. I mean,
and that 28 days may actually be even longer because I do want to have locals involved with the process so that they can learn from us, so that they can maintain this shit on their own afterwards.
So with repairing the mobile dock, training some of the locals in order to, as part of the crew, he's estimating somewhere around the time of 63 days total.
Oof,
a couple
okay.
months. It's the safe thing.
Yeah, because we're at the same time everybody's gonna want rotations of planet side R&R.
And he's already
Lots of
calculated that
R&R.
into.
That too. And so and then on the R&R, we probably want to sit them down like in groups of 6, and 2 people are always on guard duty, and they can rotate every day who's on guard duty. The guards are not to drink, not to gamble, not to do drugs. Just make sure the other 4 are safe and keeping them safe at all times. And they just rotate who's in that guard position to be the wet blanket, but keep everybody on their toes and safe. So something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, we will pick this up next week at 6 p.m. PST.
Sounds good.
All right,
Oh,
guys.
yeah, it was fun. Thanks.
All right, thanks, man. That was fun.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Night. See you tomorrow.
Yep.
See you tomorrow.
Yep. See you
Take
tomorrow.
care.